And thank you for inviting me. When Josh told me about his journey and how he was giving back through this program, I was in awe. I think it's super special what you're doing, what you've done, and I really want to take a few minutes and kind of be with you. So I know you heard that long introduction. You probably think, oh my God, he's going to bore me to tears, and that's really not my intention. So what I thought I would do is give you a few observations. So I'm going to give you 5 observations, which I will call bigger picture observations, and then I'll give you 5 more tactical observations that hopefully will help you along on your journey based on some things I've seen from folks who do well and do not so well. So let's start with the big observations. Number one. And I'm assuming most of you are kind of going to follow a journey similar to Josh, which is you're going to run your own business. So that's kind of my perspective, right? So my number one observation is realize that so many people are rooting for your success, right? They are in awe of people who want to be their own boss and actually go about realizing that. I read some surveys because I'd always felt this. If you ask most people what they want to do with their life, they would say, I want to be my own boss. I want to run my own company. I want to do something where I am in charge. However, they never realize these dreams because they are risk adverse. They don't have the gumption to go do this. They don't have the whatever it is that is making you want to do this. So understand that everybody's rooting for your success. When they realize what you are, they're going, wow, this is pretty cool. I wish I would have done that, but therefore I am on your side and am hopeful that you will succeed. So understand that when you begin. The second observation is you tell your own story. Okay. So how you talk about your journey is entirely up to you. As Josh just described, I grew up in consulting, and in consulting, we often talk about how do you present information. You don't have to tell everybody everything. So what we used to talk about is you can present selective truths. You're not lying, but you're simply telling the information you want people to understand and appreciate. Someone says, how did you get this job? You don't have to go back to the situation that led you here. You might say, I always had a passion, in Josh's case, making t-shirts, right? You can begin where you want to begin. The one thing I feel strongly about, and maybe this has come up in conversations because I think I took this from religion, is you are not defined, this is all of us, but you are not defined by your worst day ever, okay? That is not how you should define yourself. And you have the chance to kind of redefine yourself through this business. So think about that as you go forward. Number 3, on whatever you do, focus really hard on your craft and the quality of the work you do. Whatever it is, do it really, really well. People will know that and they will really have appreciation for it, from the most minute thing to the most complex thing. And they will say, I am dealing with a person who takes this work very, very serious and really appreciates how valuable it is. And I'll make 2 observations. One, when I was in consulting, it was easy to be in a consulting firm. And you'd see a lot of people, and I talked to them and said, treat this like a job, not a hobby. I don't think you're paying attention to this enough. Treat it like a job. And the other thing too is contrast how people will interact with you in your business versus how I interact with, or most people interact with, a big box. In a big box store, I'm a barcode. No one knows me. Nobody pays attention to me. No one does anything. But in your business, I can be something special. The people who clean my clothes, for example, they've been doing this for more than 20 years. They know my name. They know my family. They deal with my most intimate stuff with my clothing, right? It's a very special relationship. I don't even know what they charge anymore. It's just these are people who are so very good at their work. So be really good at your work and be proud of that, whatever it is. Now, related to that is observation number 4. If you are really good at what you do, you can raise prices and no one will be upset. So I know part of your course has been, how do you make money in this business? You're thinking, oh gosh, how do I make money? Well, the really big secret in business is be really, really good at what you do, and you can charge a lot for it, relatively speaking. And I'll give you a very simple example. Every Saturday morning, I go to the nearby farmer's market. About the only thing I buy there is from a woman who runs a business where she grows lettuce hydroponically, right, in water and walls and stuff like that. This lettuce is so good. Even if you didn't like lettuce, you would like lettuce. It is so good. She charges twice what I could buy if I paid it, what I would pay if I bought it at Safeway. And yet I'll go out of my way to buy lettuce from her. It is so good. That can be true about your business, whatever you do. If you are so good, you can raise prices. And finally, the last thing is, whatever you do do something that makes you happy. Have joy in your work, as they say. But there's an article I read about this. Is like, what is happiness, right? People talk, there's happiness in a celebration, there's happiness in seeing friends, there's happiness in going out and drinking, for example. But there's also happiness in hard work and success. And you can have that. Okay? So you can really be happy through your work too. So think about that. Okay, so those are my 5 big observations and stuff. Now let me share somewhat more 5 detailed things that are much more business oriented. Okay, number 1, if you can, always get paid in advance. Okay, don't do work without getting paid. Explain to people, I really would like you to pay in advance. Most people will. If you can't, get half of it in advance. Okay, number 1 problem I see with small business people is they do work expecting to get paid and they don't get paid and they're really in a bad place. So always ask to be paid in advance. And if you have your choice, ask to be paid in cash. Okay, people will respect you when you do business things with them because they'll know you're serious. Number 2, watch your expenses like a hawk. Expenses will kill you. I'm sure you learned in the class, expenses come from your profits, right? So the better control you have over the expenses, the more money you'll get to take home. So really, really pay attention to your expenses. Copious notes. Don't do it on envelopes. Learn a spreadsheet. Do something. Pay attention to your expenses. If you do decide to hire employees, okay, if you decide, hey, my business is doing so well, I'm just not a sole practitioner, I'm going to hire employees, pay attention. The phrase I heard was the following: educate, remediate, and then terminate, right? Explain to your employees what you want from them. If they're not doing it, remediate, correct, and whatever. Teach them again. But if they're not doing it, terminate them. Life is too short to deal with employees who don't want to be part of your team. So again, part of the really great thing about being a small business is maybe you don't need employees, and there's a lot to be said for that. But if you do, pay attention to them and understand it's not adoption, it's a business. The 4th one here is start small and then expand from that. Again, you probably figured out in your class, well, how do I raise money? Oh, well, get your business, do a lot of things. I'm a big believer in do one thing, do it well, and then add another thing onto it. Do it well, then add a 3rd thing. Don't start out with 3 things, doing them kind of well. Do one, get really good at it, and add more, okay? Because I know what people do is, hey, my business is growing. What else do I want to do? Oh, well, let's do something else that's kind of close to what I'm doing. And they get kind of tangled up in that, okay? So be careful on that one. And the final thing I will tell you is there's general life advice, but I see it in business all the time. Problems don't get better by ignoring them. They only get worse. Unsuccessful business people will say this: oh, we got a problem somewhere, and they'll go, ignore it for a while, it'll solve itself. It never, ever does. It only gets worse. So if you have a problem, deal with it directly. Don't let it fester. It'll just continue to get worse. Okay? So those are my observations. I really have respect for what you're doing. I guess I would leave you with sort of, good wishes, success in what you're doing. Capitalism depends upon people like you to go out there, start a business, be successful, provide solutions to problems people have or services they need, then hire others and take them along with you. So this is you're really a very important part of like the most successful system in the history of mankind, capitalism. So again, congratulations to you. High five. I'm sure if you're all together, there'd be champagne popping and that will be great. So I'll think about that mentally. But thanks, Josh, for having me, and Allie for inviting me. Again, best wishes always, and good luck in your journey.